AGamer here, and Season 7 starts tomorrow, so what better time than now than to get another warrior build up, this time going back to the axes.
Touch mine.
As usual, I'll start with my skills. Healing Signet. If you're a warrior, there's nothing else you should be using other than the Healing Signet. It heals 340 health per tick, and if you're fighting a long battle, that is going to add up real fast. Also, if you're getting heavily Condi pressured, activate it to gain some 6 seconds of resistance, and that should help you maintain some Condi pressure. Signet of Might, 180 power. I do like that little extra damage boost, but the reason why I use it is because once I pop it off, my attacks become unblockable for 6 seconds. Very useful against Guardians, because they have a tendency to pop some sort of block when they're low on health, so they pop off a block, I pop off my Signet of Might, I can slice them, I decapitate them, go straight through their block, they get dropped, they don't even know what to hit them, and it's awesome. Berserker Stance, there's still a lot of Condi pressure out there, a lot of Condi builds, so this is my answer to that. 3 seconds of resistance, and it refreshes every 3rd second, so basically 9 seconds of resistance. That's a good way of maintaining, basically getting rid of Condis. Cleansing gives you time to cleanse, not having the Condis affect you, although it is a 60-second cooldown, so be wary of that. And also the extra adrenaline gain for every second, a decent amount. They have updated Endure Pain, now it's a 30-second cooldown, but they've also halved the duration of it, so it's 2 seconds. So I recommend, actually I don't recommend, but I'm still experimenting with this. A good substitute currently for me would be Doliac Signet, because I still get my instability, it still breaks stuns, and I have a little bit extra toughness. However, those 2 seconds of basically ignoring pain, ignoring damage, it has its usefulness, but since with the update it's 2 seconds, so a very niche skill. I'm currently with the Berserker Trait line, so Headbutt is the only skill to use for my elite. A lot of damage, removes immobilization, gain all my adrenaline back, and 3 seconds of stun on the opponent. Very, very effective. So those are my skills. Let's move on to my equipment. Alright, let's start with my weapons. Greatsword, Axe, and Shield combo. With the newest update, the Axe got a nice little damage boost, so I'm popping pretty hard. I'm hitting pretty hard with the Axe. However, I do miss the rifle. For the warrior, the rifle is my favorite weapon, so I do hope ArenaNet eventually buffs up the rifle. It just gives it a little bit more usefulness in combat, because I do miss the rifle. But with the update, they also got rid of a lot of sigils, but they added a lot of new ones. One of them they added was Sigil of Cleansing, which removes 1 Condi when I switch to my Greatsword. Now, the Greatsword, I use it mostly for running away, getting distance, and I also prefer to have mobility with the Greatsword. So if I have Frost, Mobilization, or Crippling, when I switch to my Greatsword, the Sigil of Cleansing basically gives me another chance of getting rid of that condition, just to have a chance of getting away. But also with the numerous Condi builds, this just gives me another chance of just cleansing a Condi that's hurting me. So, you know, why not? Sigil of Battle, I gain 4 stacks of mights. This is a power-based build, so the more might I have, the better. But also the Sigil of Battle combos fairly well with my Rune of Strength, which gives me 5% extra damage while under the effects of might, so that's just a little bit more extra damage. Sigil of Stagnation, I'm going to skip that for now. Sigil of Intelligence, 100% critical hit chance, very important, especially when I switch to my Axe and I go into Berserk mode. Decapitate does a lot of damage, and 100% critical hit chance guarantees that I'm hitting 6k, 7k, maybe even 8k. A lot of damage, and I want to make sure I have that 100% critical hit chance. But also, when I switch to my Axe, I cripple nearby enemies. The reason why I use this is because the burst of the Axe is not fairly far, I would say. It's only 300, so crippling just makes sure they can't run away from my range. I want to make sure to hit them. So crippling sort of just gives me that extra chance of actually landing my hits. Now with the newest sigils, I'm still experimenting with these, so the ones I would suggest that you can switch out, because I'm not 100% sure they're fairly effective, would be these first 3. However, the Sigil of Intelligence I would keep 100%, because that's extremely useful. But these 3, you can switch them out, because I'm not 100% sure with these sigils basically. Then moving on to my rune, Rune of the Strength. Basically the reason why I use it is because I'm 100% power, nothing but power build. 5% extra damage while under the effects of might. I am going to be under the effects of might basically the entire fight, so I'm always going to be doing extra damage, and hey, the more might, the more damage, so why not? And of course, being power, Berserker is the way to go. So that is my equipment. Let's move on to my skills. Well, not skills, traits. Let's move on to my traits. Alright, so my traits, Discipline, Defense, and Berserker. Now I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, because if you're a warrior, you know exactly what the skills do, and probably why I'm using them. But Warrior Sprint, I want to be a little bit more mobile, so that 25% increase in movement speed is very useful, and I remove immobilization whenever I use movement skills. Brawler's Recovery, I just want to have a little extra Condi cleanse since there's so many Condi builds out there. Berserk Mastery, Burst Mastery, I do more damage, and my adrenaline is restored every time I pop it, so very useful for doing Condi cleansing and just hitting really hard. Shield Master, I'm using a shield, so there's nothing else to be using other than that. Endure Defy Pain, there's a text-based bug, I believe, where it says 60-second cooldown, but still a 2-second duration. Ignore that 60 seconds, I still believe it pops every 30 seconds. So, but yeah, Defy Pain, just more time you're not going to be taking damage. Cleansing Iron, this is the way you cleanse Condis. Berserker Stance numbs the pain, Cleansing Iron heals it, or whatever you want to use. Smash Brawler, they reduced the cooldown from 33% to 20%. Very disappointed in them, but I guess they saw it was too strong, so they reduced it. Dead or Alive, gain 5k health back if you're about to take fatal damage. This actually has saved me several times, so I highly recommend using this. If you're about to get downed, pop your Berserk, you gain 5k health back, and that basically just gives you time to either heal or run away. Very useful. Eternal Champion, instead of you getting stability in intervals, you just gain 3 stacks of stability for 8 seconds. This can technically be swapped out for Bloody Roar, but I highly recommend this because that stability is very useful for getting downs. If you're the only person to have stability and there's a down and you're going to get that stomp, that entire fight turns around in your favor. So that's the reason why I use it. So as always, that is my build, and I am now going to show you a small highlight reel of the build to give you an idea of how it runs. So enjoy.
The keep's been lost.